Welcome to Living Face Midweek Devotions. We've been walking through this series called Face to Face, where Jesus comes face to face with so many different reactions and emotions that we have in life. We've already covered where he comes face to face with the afraid, with the hurting, with the needy, with the guilty. Today, we see how he comes face to face with the self-reliant. And that's you and me. So often we turn to our emotions and our wants and our minds, and those wants are typically based on what our flesh wants, what our sinful nature wants, what our old Adam wants, and not the things of God. Our wants are so often fleshly desires, where our needs, what we really need, is our spiritual fulfillment through Jesus Christ. Today we see Peter, yes, the disciple who was always, or typically the one to speak out first, typically the one to act first, at least the way it's recorded in the Gospels. And here it's no different. Peter speaks out. He wants to be with his Savior, almost like he doesn't want to share his Savior. He doesn't want his Savior to complete his plan because he's enjoying so much of his time with Jesus. Not too long before this account that we're going to read, we see Peter confess his faith. Jesus asks, "Disciples, who do you say I am?" And Peter boldly says, "Jesus, you are the Son of the living God." What faith Peter confessed there. And then Jesus even says, based on this faith and this confession, this is a foundation for the church. And this is what he's going to build his church on, that faith. But then not too long after is where this context comes in, this section that we're going to read from Matthew chapter 16, beginning at verse 21. From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "Never, Lord," he said, "this shall never happen to you." Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done. Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." Wow. Peter, the one who just confessed his faith in Jesus Christ, right after Jesus now says that he's got to suffer, that he's going to be suffering at the hands of the chief priests and the elders, and he's going to die. And Peter says, "Never, Lord." Well, what did Peter just confess it? What Jesus has come to do, that he is the Messiah. He obviously didn't fully grasp yet what that meant, that Jesus needed to completely die a perfect life and be crucified as a criminal, even though he was innocent in our place. Peter didn't want Jesus to die, but Peter needed Jesus to die. How often do we want certain things to happen in our lives, but Jesus says, "No, you do not have the things of God in mind, but only the concerns of man, the concerns of your flesh." Often the things that we want are not the things that we need. And the things that we want are relying on ourselves, are relying on our own desires, are relying on the desires of the flesh. And Jesus is saying, take those out. Remove those out of your mind. Have in mind the things of God. And when you do that, the things that then happen in your life, you can see them for God working through your life, pointing you to the things of Him rather than to the things of your flesh. That doesn't make life easier, but it makes your life more spiritual. Trusting and relying on Jesus as your Savior. Trusting and relying on God who says, I've got you in the palm of my hands. I am caring for you and watching over you. When we finally get rid of ourself and remove ourself from the equation, then we will finally start to see our Savior. Jesus is trying to remove Peter's flesh out of the equation so that his spiritual eyes would be open to see him, Jesus, as the only Savior, as the one who has our salvation in mind and not our earthly desires in mind. Dear friends, we're near the end of Lent, the season where Jesus is walking to the cross and we see what he did for us. As we get closer, take out the things of the flesh in your mind and focus on the things of God. Say to those things of the flesh that come to mind, that rise to occasion when you want to fulfill your own desires, and say to yourself, get behind me, Satan. For what I'm thinking is not the things of God, but the things of man, of myself. And then see Jesus heading to the cross, carrying the cross for you, so that now, having been crucified, you can pick up the crosses of being a Christian and carry them, knowing that Jesus has carried it with you and for you. Jesus is your Savior, and He has saved you completely because He did not have in mind the things of man, but only the things of God. And the things of God are saving you and saving the world. God be with you, dear friends, as you ponder this message and thought throughout the week. We'll see you next time.